so we'll start our meeting of Metropolitan Area Planning Commission meeting of April 21st. First item on the agenda, could we have our opening announcements, please?
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. For those in attendance, copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission and the Board will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking, but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please provide your contact information to the Planning Department. The Planning Commission and the Board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on all the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as courteous and concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available from the planning staff. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to the district court.
Thank you. The next item is the roll call.
Yes, sir. Bill Johnson?
Here.
Fox?
Here.
John McKay is absent. Green?
Here.
Dool?
Here.
Josh Blick? We're going to unmute all the phones. Mr. Josh Blick? Josh Blick? Absent. Nix?
Here.
Foster?
Here.
Warren?
Here.
Joe Johnson?
Here.
Miles?
Here.
Hartman? Here. Cunningham?
Here.
Williams Bay?
Here.
I showed 2 members absent, 12 members present.
Thank you. Now we're going to approve the minutes of the MAPC meeting of April 7th, and I showed that Bob Dool was not present. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion approved by Mr. Green, second by
Ms. Martin.
Cindy.
Yep.
I'm used to seeing you on the screen and you're over here to my right. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? So I'd say that's 11-0-1. Okay, we're going to go through the subdivision items, the agenda. Subdivision item 2021-00064. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Any commissioners that are virtual want to hear this case? We'll take that on consent. Next one, subdivision 2022-00009, one-step final plat, Angel Fire, third edition. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Anybody virtual on the commission want to hear this case? Hearing none, we'll bring it back. What's the pleasure of the board?
What about 2.3? 2.3?
I'm sorry?
Courtyards?
This one here you're talking about? It's on here. So we're on. Oh. Yes. Do we have to ask for the public? No. I better back up then. On item subdivision 2021-00064, is there anybody in the chamber like to hear this case? Hearing none, is there anybody virtual that would like to hear this case?
Sounds to
Don't know
me
what
like
their
that was a
name is.
child, sir.
So we can take that on consent. The next one's subdivision 2022-00009. One-step final plat, Angel Fire. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Any of the commissioners virtual want to hear this case? Anybody in the chamber want to hear this case? Anybody? Anybody that's virtual want to hear this case? We can take that on consent, but I will abstain from that vote. The next one, subdivision 2022-00013, one-step final plat, courtyard at the moorings. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Any commissioners that are virtual want to hear that case? Anybody in the audience here in the chamber want to hear this case? Anybody virtual want to hear this case? We can take that on consent.
Chairman, I move we approve items 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 as submitted.
Second.
We need to break one of them out.
I propose that I modify my motion to approve items 2.1 and 2.3.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Fox. Second, was that Joe?
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe Johnson. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Anybody opposed? Okay,
I move we accept item 2.2 as proposed.
Second.
got a motion approved by Ms. Fox, second by Cindy. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And I'll abstain. Now we'll go to the vacation cases. Vacation case 2022-00005. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Any commissioners that are virtual want to hear this case? Is there anybody or in the chamber here that want to hear this case? Anybody virtual want to hear this case? We can take that on consent. Next one is vacation 2021-00048.
That's the one that.
And basically, this was deferred, so we have to put this on the agenda today so it can be heard later.
Yes, sir. The background on this one is that it was deferred at an earlier meeting for a period of 6 months. And so it is now on the agenda, but deferring it to one more meeting will allow us to have some more conversations on this one.
So we just need to make a motion that we're gonna, no, just nothing. Okay, I'm looking for a motion on item 3.1 then.
So moved.
Second?
I got the second.
Yep.
Ms. Foster. Who made the motion? Mr. Green. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, item, now we're gonna have public hearing items on the agenda. 4.1, conditional 2022-00006. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Any commission members that are virtual want to hear this case? Anybody in the commission chamber want to hear this case? Anybody virtual? Hearing none, we'll take it on consent. The next one's PUD 2022-00007. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Any commissioners that are virtual want to hear this case? Is there anybody in the chamber who would like to hear this case? Anybody virtual want to hear this case? Anybody virtual? Hearing none, we'll take that on consent. The next one is 2022-00019. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Any commissioners that are virtual want to hear this case? Anybody in the commission chambers want to hear this case? Anybody virtual want to hear this case? We'll take that on consent. The next one's zoning case 2022-00020. Anybody on the commission want to hear this case? Anybody virtual want to hear this case? Anybody in the commission chambers want to hear this case? Okay, we're going to hear that one. I'll look for a motion for items 4, 1, 2, and 3.
Before I make a motion on that, on item 4.2, there were staff changes that were made. Do those need to be acted upon?
I did get communication from the agent for the applicant stating that they were in favor of those changes, that there was not opposition. Brian is here. I think he can corroborate that. So
Okay.
thank you, Mr. Green, but no, they are amenable to them.
Okay, thanks. I move that we approve items 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3.
Second?
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Green, second by Ms. Fox. Any discussion? I'm gonna make note that the applicant or the agent did shake his head on the changes on item 4.2.
Affirmatively.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That carries 12-0. Okay, before we hear item 4.4, we're gonna move to the Board of Zoning Appeal agenda. And the first item on the agenda for that is approval of the minutes, the BZA meeting of April 7th. Again, I show that Bob Dewell was not present.
I'd like to make one slight correction, please. I'll have to hunt down the page. It's page 7 of 7, in the first paragraph, third line from the bottom. I believe what I said was almost half again the size of the sign regulations allow. This may be what I said, but it certainly wasn't what I meant, because it doesn't make any sense the way it is. Other than
I
that,
move
they
for
look good.
approval with change.
I think Joe just moved to approve.
Any other comments on the minutes? Motion by, is that Joe Johnson?
Yes.
Second by
Second.
Ms. Foster. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The BZA case is 00006. And Mr. Longnecker is going to present this.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Bill Longnecker, Senior Planner, Current Plans. As the Chair knows, this is BZA case 2022-00006. This is a request for a variance to increase the size of a wall sign and to allow red illumination on University's own property that would be Friends University, the westmost portion of that university campus. This is also located in the Delano Overlay District. So, as you can see on the map there, you've got the site itself, and you can see the University zoning. The whole campus is zoned that way. The general statement was we've got two variances. Specifically, we've got a variance to increase the amount of sign surface allowed by the sign code. The applicant is requesting, this is a mistake by staff, that 225 feet should read 220 square feet. So any reference you see is 225 square feet, that should be 220 square feet, and that is staff's mistake. That will be for a proposed friend user wall sign that will be located on the Garvey Center building, which is the westmost building on the campus. The applicant is also, that particular variance, the University zoning district only permits a maximum of 32 square feet of sign surface for a wall or building sign. The applicant's proposed sign would increase that area by 188 square feet. Again, we're going to 220 square feet. Now, the other variance is that the applicant is asking for red light to illuminate the proposed Friends University wall sign. This color red is part of the Friends University brand colors of red and white is currently shown in the Friends University Falcon mural on the Garvey Center building. We've got that in the photograph, so we'll reference that again later. If approved, this would allow red illumination. University zoning district permits indirect and internal illumination of white light only. Again, Friends is asking for their brand color to light up this sign. One thing we do need to note right after that red illumination that this has gone to the Delano Overlay Design Review Committee and they have approved it. We are looking for letters of approval, but we've been informed of that via email. Okay, sign's purpose is to allow vehicles the ability to readily identify the Friends University campus. And the proposed sign with the red illumination improves the driver's ability to recognize the university campus, and the applicant goes on to show that the 250 feet of parking lot that separates this building from the access road, plus the additional 400 some feet that separates it from the expressway, makes the current regulations in regards to University for a wall sign makes it unreadable from the expressway. Looking at the surrounding area, can we have another slide, please? Okay, there's what I'm talking about. That's the Garvey building. And as you can see on this overhead, what we have is we've got 250 feet of parking lot that separates it from, you can see the excess, two roads there that separate it from the expressway, which you can't see the expressway from this particular aerial. Can we have the next slide, please? That simply shows that this particular zoning is in compliance with the 2035 comp plan. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, this one shows that distance that I noted earlier of 250 feet of driveway, separating it from the two access drives and further separating it from the Kellogg Expressway. The sign itself is facing south. at the expressway. Can we have the next slide, please? There is an example of the sign itself. And again, that has been approved by the Delano overlay. We also note there's a Garvey Center sign on there that they are permitted by right. Next slide, please. Here's the more specific dimensions of the particular sign. Again, this shows the red illumination. Do we have the next slide, please? There's the Garvey building itself, and as you can see, there's a mural on the building, which is fairly recent, that shows the Friends Falcon, and you can see the brand colors for Friends with the red and white on the Falcon itself. So again, this sign would, part of the identification brand for Friends University. You can see the parking lot there also in front of it. Could we have the next slide, please? Okay, now we're on University. So let's talk about the properties around the particular site. So this is north of the site. This is University Street. We've got residential, single-family residential that is across the street from the Garvey building. The sign will not be facing that way, so impact on these properties will be negligible. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another part of the north side of the site. You can see a railroad track that further separates the university from the single-family residential properties that are located on the north side of the site itself. Next slide, please. There's east of the site, so as we've noted that the Garvey building is the westmost portion of the university site. You're looking here at Davis Hall. You can also see the football field here also on Friends University. That's all Zone U University. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, this portion of the Kellogg US 54 Expressway is elevated. And this is taken from the parking lot looking south of the site. Can we have the next slide, please? This is that residential development, mature residential neighborhood that is on the south side of the elevated portion of Kellogg US 54. And those properties are zoned TF3 as well as some B and multifamily. Can we have the next slide, please? This is west of the site. This is right across the street from West Meridian, I should say South Meridian. And as you can see, you've got single-family residence. The properties are zoned limited commercial, and there has not been a move towards commercial development on these properties at this time. So one thing we did not show on these slides in that the applicant has expressed to staff is that southwest of this site, on the other side of the expressway, there's the Newman University campus. Newman University campus has got a sign on one of their buildings which identifies Newman University, and also has a smaller building sign which identifies that sign, that building itself. Again, the sign that identifies the building itself is permitted by right in regards to having a certain height on the letters. And the university sign that identifies the university itself was a BZA case that was done back in 2000. Didn't show up on the maps in regards to electronic records on that. But the applicant's agent did alert me to that, so I feel like I need to bring that to you verbally. So that particular case was BZA 2034. And again, that was all about placing that Newman University sign on that particular building. There are some differences between these two properties in that the Newman property is Zone B multifamily. Part of the Newman University is Zone University, but this particular site where that sign was Zone B multifamily, which allowed a slightly larger sign. So I thought I needed to verbally alert you to that. Now, that's a 22-year-old case. And looking at how that would impact this case, I am not sure. I mean, I'm strictly looking at this per this site and per the criteria that we have for a variance. However, I did advise the applicant in regards to, I sent him the Newman report to see if that would aid him in regards to making his presentation to you. Let's look at the 5 criteria for granting a variance. Oh, well, before we get to that, we should also note in the case history that there have been several variances for another sign on Friends University campus, and that is a 35-foot tall, 339 square foot LED monument site that's located approximately 730 feet southeast of the site and is visible from Kellogg US 54. That was a multiple case, BZA 2095, BZA 2007-0038, and then BZA 2020-00051. So that was all about the existing sign that is on Friends right now, which is a monument sign and LED message sign, LED monument sign. So let's get to the 5 criteria for granting a variance. The applicant states that the 650 feet separating the Garvey Building's proposed wall sign from south adjacent Kellogg US 54 Expressway requires larger signage to allow it to be readable from the expressway. The applicant has referenced a lettered visibility chart provided by the United States Sign Council in stating that the permitted 32 square foot sign would have 7.5 inch tall letters and it would be readable from approximately 200 feet away. So it would be somewhere within the parking lot that you'd be able to see that sign according to this chart. Now, we're looking at an additional 450 feet from that 200 feet where this sign would be legible if it was per code. So the proposed wall sign has 50.2 inch lettering, and that is the prime reason for, it seems to be requesting the 220 square foot sign surface to make it legible from Kellogg US 54. So staff finds that the subject site is not unique in regard to other properties found along the expressway. We do agree that the proposed Friends University wall sign would be more readily identify the Garvey Center building as the westmost portion of the Friends University campus. And we also noted, that the unusual features about US 54 Kellogg is that between 109th South, 119th Street West, and South 143rd Street East, traffic is unimpeded during that stretch. So it is going 60, 65 miles an hour along this stretch. And the applicant is stating that with that speed and that distance, they need the sign to help identify the Friends University campus. Let's look on to we also found that, this impacts all businesses or institutions located along this right-of-way. And as such, the applicant's property has the same encumbrances that all businesses or institutions that are located along Kellogg US 54 have in regards to having to cope with that speed and that uninterrupted traffic. So a lot of properties impacted by this. Second criteria, granting a variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residents. The applicant has stated that the proposed wall sign facing a parking lot in Kellogg US 54 will not negatively impact the adjacent single-family residential neighborhoods. They also note this section of the expressway is elevated above South Meridian Avenue and their site, which makes the proposed sign not visible to the south adjacent single-family residential neighborhood, which we saw on the slides that we showed you. Staff found that other property owners with frontage along this expressway are in compliance with the sign code and the Delano overlay, and granting the variance could be disadvantaged to their properties, reducing their comparative ability to advertise their service and location. Staff also noticed that we partially agree that the area's residential development would most likely be minimal impacted by the proposed wall sign. it's not gonna have any impact on the abutting north properties because the sign is placed below the roof of the Garvey Center building, and that it is facing south away from that north abutting properties. We also note that the elevated portion of the expressway does provide a partial but incomplete visual barrier from those adjacent south properties on the other side of the expressway. We do note that the properties that would probably be most impacted would be those LC zone properties that are located west of the site. As you can see, those LC zone single-family residences, there probably would be some light spillover from the proposed sign. 3, strict application of the provision of the sign code would constitute an unnecessary hardship on the applicant. The applicant states that the U zoning district's permitted 32 square foot sign surface would not be visible from the Kellogg US 4 expressway. Allowing the variance would allow vehicular traffic on the expressway to effectively identify the Friends University campus. Staff agrees the need for readable signage is a basic need as for an institution or business. Friends University is noted as one of the 9 visual character zones that define Delano District, and the proposed sign would help enforce its presence in Delano. However, there's already been several variances for another sign on the campus, the previously mentioned monument sign, 730 feet southeast of this particular site. And staff also finds that requiring compatibility of sign code does not necessarily constitute an unnecessary hardship in light of the size, type, and proximity of the campus's current signage. That again is referencing back to the existing monument sign. 4th criteria, variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, general welfare, or harmonious development of the community. Applicant states there is no evidence that the variance will adversely affect the public, and if approved, the variance would allow for better communication. Again, the applicant has also, again, cited the Newman site in regards to their proposal having no more of a negative effect than what was granted with Newman University back in 2000. Staff can agree that the proposed increase in the size of the sign may allow better communication for the public. Staff is not in complete agreement that the size of the sign will not have an impact on the harmonious development of the community. The proposed sign of the wall sign seems to be out of proportion with other wall signs in the Delano area. Again, we need to point out that the Delano has already approved this signage, so they did not seem to feel that it was out of order in regards to the Delano area. Again, we're waiting for those letters. Granting the variance would be disadvantage to the existing property's ability to advertise their services. In addition, it would disrupt the general harmonious intent by the sign code and the Delano overlay along this section of the expressway. Again, going back to the Newman sign, that is outside the Delano overlay, but it's just southwest of this particular site, and the applicant is wanting to know, they're pointing that out as a reason why this particular sign is not out of line with what's going on with a similar institution just south of the site along this expressway. Criteria 5, the grounding of the variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the sign code. The applicant states that the general spirit and intent of the sign code is to provide effective communication and advertising without negatively impacting the community, and as such is in line with the spirit and intent of the code. Staff agrees that the intent of the sign code is to provide effective communication to the public while balancing communities' desired related to quality of life. Staff feels an approval of the variance could diminish the value and effectiveness of the existing signs in the area. Request also goes against the sign code and its intent for harmonious development. Again, the applicant is not in agreement with that last particular statement in light of the variance that was granted to Newman University 22 years ago. Staff is not recommending this particular variance. Again, you know, I understand the proposal in regards to equity, in regards to what happened with the Newman signage as what is being provided here. However, you know, the equity question could be fitted into that criteria of harmonious development, and also with number 2, not adversely affect the rights of the adjacent property owners. Again, the criteria are they're black and white. I mean, you got to look at what's unique to the particular property. And this particular property, staff feels, is not unique in regards to the encumbrances that is placed on signage in regards to being in proximity to US 54, the expressway. And the university zoning is fairly restrictive in regards to that type of signage. So staff does not feel that the proposal meets all of the 5 criteria, therefore we're recommending denial. However, we have given the conditions that we would propose if this BZA finds that this is appropriate and does meet the criteria that variances require. I'll stand for question.
Can you point out on the aerial where the other monuments, the existing monument sign is?
Sure.
And explain its orientation. I know I've seen it and driven by it, but I can't remember right at the
It's
moment.
just outside of this area right here.
Okay.
It's, matter of fact, there's you see, it's in line with the buildings that are clustered around the Casado building and the dormitory areas there. So it's about 730 feet south, east of here, and it's just outside this particular area.
And is it oriented south or is it oriented?
It's oriented east and west
Yeah. That's what I
because
thought.
it is an LED monument sign. So it's an active sign that catches traffic going both ways on the expressway.
Thank you.
Mr. Dillon, did you have a question?
I do. It seems to me they're talking about the Dugan Conference Center sign as the big sign on the face of a building. Is that right?
That's true.
So if they would make this sign Garvey Center instead of Friends University, then it would be a by right sign because it would be naming the building? Is that accurate?
Well, you can only have 15-inch lettering.
Oh, it still would
on
only
that
be
type of
15.
signage, yeah.
Okay.
Now, you've got criteria for that signage, and as they've shown it here, it meets that criteria
Okay.
for the Garvey Center building. This is all about the Friends University sign.
Okay.
And the red illumination.
Any other questions of staff?
Bill, could you go back to the elevation of the building? And so we can see, I can see where that's going to be. Is that going to be above the existing sign on the building or
It is below the roof.
below the roof?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a wall sign is required to be below the roof. And this particular sign is below the roof. Again, we're looking at 2 variances here.
Right.
We're looking at, increasing that square footage to 220 square foot. That seems to be driven by the height of the lettering itself, which is 52 inches off the top of my head. And then the red illumination, which, again, the university zoning district is very restrictive in regards to illumination for wall signs. But again, as we've shown on the one of the photos of this building, you've got the mural that's got the Friends University Falcon, and that sports the colors of Friends University. So that's a brand color, so that's why they're asking for the red.
But the Falcon isn't lit. It's painted on the wall, correct?
Correct, it's a
Yeah,
mural.
it's not.
It's a
And then
mural.
that's a little different than the
definitions
lighting.
there, yeah.
And the sign is going to go to the right of this Falcon, right?
I'm sorry, Mr. Williams.
The sign is going to go to the right of the Falcon. The Falcon is going to remain.
Yes, it would be.
Okay. So will it cover up the windows, the upper portion of the windows, or is it above that?
It looks like it's gonna be covering up a portion of those windows, yes. And again, this has gone, I've been informed this has been approved by the Delano overview in regards to the placement of this sign and if it fits the architectural intent of this particular building.
Any other questions of staff? Thank you, Bill.
This is Stan Sheldon. Can I make a quick clarification?
Just not yet. Not yet. He'll have his-
This is the agent speaking right now.
We're gonna let you talk here in a minute. Any other questions of Bill from the commission? Seeing none, thank you, Bill. Now the applicant or agent, give us your name, address, you got 10 minutes.
Hi, this is Stan Sheldon with Sheldon Architecture, 800 East First Street. Thanks for taking this case today. No, the sign does not, it doesn't land in front of any of the windows. It goes directly above the windows. If you go back to that other photograph of the face of the building, there's a band, a concrete wall or band above the windows, and that's where the sign is to be placed. It doesn't cover up any windows per se.
Any other comments about what staff has said?
Well, I guess as far as it being problematic from some viewpoint, I mean, when we reviewed it with Delano, we felt like their eye for design and eye for look on things would be very critical, and having their support of the size and the appropriateness of the sign seemed to make sense to us. And we felt like, you know, this is a very large building and that the size of the sign did not feel out of proportion to us. And so again, we're not trying to do some obnoxious looking sign. It's in character and keeping with the university, and you know, it's a very large building, so we felt like the size of it was an appropriate size.
Anything else?
Yeah, this is Colin with Trimark Signs, speaking on behalf of Friends University. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out in regards to the report made by Mr. Longnecker. The LED sign that is on the east of the Friends University campus, as the crow flies from where the sign is proposed to be placed on the Garvey Center, is about 12 feet. At Newman University, they have a similar sign with an LED message board on the west side of their campus, probably 1,000 feet to the west from where the existing wall was granted the variance back in 2000. Also, on that same wall, the university sign, they also have a 5-foot diameter circular sign away. So those two signs together combined are only about 40 feet less than what we're asking for on this variant. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. The commission, any commission members got any questions of the agent or applicant? Any questions? Seeing none. Is there anybody in the commission chamber here want to speak on this item? Anybody virtual want to speak on this item? Anybody virtual? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
I would like to, I would like to speak and I will surprise everybody in favor of it, of approving the variance. And in order to do that, of course, I have to explain why I think the 5 criteria have been met. I think this request is unique to this property because of the fact that it is a university. The scale of the buildings, the scale of the open spaces around it are not like surrounding neighboring properties. I think it does create a unique situation for the applicant. The criteria 2, the granting will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners. Staff's comment that this sign would reduce comparative ability to advertise their services. I don't see see it that way. I think this sign stands fairly alone on this building and on a campus in a huge parking lot. It's not competing with a row of 7 or 8 other business signs that are smaller. I think it is not going to adversely affect the ability of other neighboring property owners to advertise their businesses should they wish to. Criteria 3, the strict application would constitute an unnecessary hardship. I think the university has a legitimate reason to want to be able to identify its campus and its buildings, and an identity sign of this scale, I think, is an appropriate request. Criteria 4 will not adversely affect the public health, safety, etc. I think it, again, is not going to create problems for neighbors or for the public. The red color is isolated. It's not ever going to be mistaken by someone passing by for a stoplight, which is the main objection to red, as I understand it. Delano is nothing if not eclectic, so I think in this particular context, it fits with the Delano neighborhood plan in that it fits with the university, which is part of Delano and appreciated as such. And finally, the general spirit and intent of the sign regulations, I think, again, it is larger than the regulations specify, but it is in scale with the building and the neighborhood and the context of the campus. So, because I think it meets all 5 criteria, I will be, when the time comes and everybody else has had their chance to speak, I will be moving to approve.
Well, I'll second that if it's a motion.
Well,
Just
I
for-
want to
Mr.
know
Dill.
what
Just for
some other
discussion.
comments.
Mr. Dill?
Has staff had any negative comments regarding this case?
No, we have had no phones, no emails, no face-to-face comments on this case.
Thank you.
Any other comments, or should I make my motion official?
I was jumping the gun because I was going to go ahead and move that we approve it, the variance, and include the 5 considerations listed by staff. That would be in the
Can
form
I
of a
ask
motion.
first, do we need to do 2 votes for the 2
Second.
variances, or just 1?
I was
That
going
was
to
gonna
take
be
them
my first
together
question.
myself, but
Second.
Hang on, Joe.
In response to the question, staff would say, we recommend 2 separate motions, one for each variance that would be granted.
Okay, do you want to do the honors, or you want me to?
go ahead.
Okay, I would like to move that we approve the variance number 1 on our staff report to exceed the amount of sign surface, subject to the considerations listed in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Ms. Foster, second by Joe Johnson. Any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Green.
I'm in favor of this motion, and one of the guiding factors for me is that the Delano Design Committee approved this, and I think that they're usually pretty strict on what they will allow, or what they desire to have in the Delano neighborhood and what they don't want to have, and this seems to fit their criteria. So that's above and beyond the 5 criteria that Ms. Foster.
Any other comments about the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Okay, that one carries unanimously.
Okay, I would like to also move that we approve variance 2, allowing not white light in the sign, subject to staff considerations listed in the staff report.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Foster, second by Cindy. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That carries 12-0. There's no other items on the BZA, so we can move back to the Planning Commission, and we're gonna take up item 4.4, zoning case 2022-00020.
Bill Longnecker, Senior Planner. As the chair noted, this is zone case 2022-00020. This is a request for limited commercial zoning and TF3 duplex zoning. You can see on the zoning map, these particular properties are currently zoned single family. As you can see also on the zoning map, which shows the location of this site, that the limited commercial portion of it is right on the corner, the northeast corner of 167th Street West and West Maple Street. We're looking at approximately 12 acres here that are looking to be rezoned. The approximately, now this is according to what I've got on the applicant's exhibit showing the acreage. We're looking at 9.6 acres of duplexes and 2.4 acres of unspecified commercial development. As you can also see while we're up here on the zoning, let's just look at that. You can see to the north, and immediate north and to the east, we've got single-family residential zoning. That's all agricultural fields, as is the site itself. You can also see that gray to the east, that's PUD, Plan Unit Development -80. This is a single-family residential development that's currently under construction. They're building houses out there, and they've got some built. You're looking at also an area where the city of Wichita city limits are abutting or adjacent to county land or property that's located in the city of Goddard. If you look to the west of the site, you'll see rural residential zoning. That is county land. You're looking at MH manufactured home zoning also, and that is a fairly old manufactured home park. Beyond that manufactured home park to the west, you're looking at the city of Goddard limits. If you look to the south, west of the site, across from that intersection, that's agricultural field. That is also the city of Goddard. Now you see that kind of beige color? That's SF20. That's county property that has got single-family residential development that's been there from, just sampling it, you look at 1925 through 1972. You've also got a non-conforming machine shop over in that area too. Can we have the next slide? Here's the aerial. We've gone over what we're looking at here in regards to development. You see a lot of agricultural fields. Again, we're right on this central west portion of the city of Wichita city limits. So we're seeing a lot of county land that's still residential, and we're also seeing some single-family residential development here that's also agricultural. Now, we've noted in the staff report that these properties that we're looking at for rezoning are part of the Pike 3rd Edition. And subdivision case 2021-00028, that was approved by the MAPC at their January 6, 2002 meeting. You can also see the development that I mentioned to you earlier in regards to the east. That's the Pike Edition. And you can also see the layout of the manufactured home park and some of the single-family residents that are in the county south of the site. Can we have the next slide, please? No, not that one. There we go. Okay, now this shows what this land is called to be used for conformance to plans and policies. The Wichita-Sedgwick County Comprehensive Plan, the plan's future growth concept map depicts this subject site and the areas it's located in for new residential. Well, per the zoning code, duplexes are part of that development that would fit into there, as well as the current single-family residential development. What doesn't fit in there is the limited commercial zone site. And we do note that, with as it's zoned now, it could be developed as single-family residential. However, we do note that the location at the corner of this arterial intersection that has traffic lights on all four sides is a more preferable site for non-residential type development, and limited commercial could be that. And we also know commercial development should be designed with shared internal vehicular and pedestrian circulation, combined signage, coordinated landscape, building design, and combined ingress egress. This particular site, the commercial, as it's shown on the plat, is going to access onto 167th Street, one point of access. The duplexes themselves are built around a north-south hammerhead that exits also onto 167th Street. That's one way in, one way out for the duplexes, as well as the commercial development. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, you can see the Pike 3rd Edition, the entirety of it. So that single-family zoning that is to the north and to the east that abuts this particular site, that's all been platted for single-family residential development. And as you can see on the blow-up right beside it, there's our subject site, there's the hammerheads I just mentioned, and there's the limited commercial site. You can also see the excess control as shown on that particular site. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, we're looking at the site on the south side. We're standing on the south side of Maple, West Maple. That's the site there. You can see the development sign as it there. Again, agricultural fields. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, we're looking at the property north of the site, which is currently agricultural fields, but as we've shown with that subdivision, it's been platted for single-family residence. Hasn't gone to city council yet for final action, but it has been approved by the MAPC. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, this is that PUD that is less than a quarter mile east of the site. You can see some of that construction going on there. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, we're looking at the corner, right across the street on the south side of Maple Street. You can see a small single-family home. You can also see that non-compliant machine shop on this. Can we have the next slide, please? That's all zoned SF20. There's one of the SF20 zone single-family residences that is located still in the county and on the south side of Maple. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, we've got this particular, this is a standalone garage, and it's zoned rural residential. It's got its own ownership. Can we have the next slide, please? The reason I say it's got its own ownership is this is a single-family residence located just directly north of that garage, and that's also zoned rural residential. So these are two county properties. And this is 167th, so we're looking west across 167th. Can I have the next slide, please? There's a manufactured home park that is just beyond that single-family residence that we just saw, as well as that garage. That is, part of that is now located in the city of Goddard. Can we have the next slide, please? That is the rural residential zone property that's located northwest of the site across 167th. That is county land. I think that's all I've got. Anything else? Do we have another slide? Oh, we're back to the arrow. That's good enough. So staff is recommending approval of both the TF3 zoning and the limited commercial. We're not proposing any overlay. However, if you've noted, we sent out a email to all the planning commissioners in regards to, we have had a protest on this. And then I've also been informed that contact has been made with planning staff in regards to at least two other individuals protesting this. Those individual property owners protesting it at this point are the properties that are zoned SF20 that are located south of the site across West Maple. And they're protesting the limited commercial development, it being out of character with the area. And they're not, they cited, what commercial development with regards to traffic as well as lighting and other items. So we haven't had any complaints or protests to the TF3 development, proposed zoning, but we have gotten at least 3 that I'm aware of in regards to limited commercial. I'll stand for questions.
Any questions, staff? I guess not, Bill. Applicant or agent?
Afternoon, Phil Meyer with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant.
Need your address.
315 Ellis, 67211. I'm going to ask, instead of me doing a long-winded presentation right now, I think I'm going to ask that I'm going to wait for the rebuttal, and I may ask you for a little extended time in the rebuttal. But instead of me going through this full presentation, I'd like to hear what the concerns are from the adjacent landowner and address that instead of address a whole bunch. So I may need an extra 2 minutes during the rebuttal, but if it's all right with you, I'll answer any questions you have, but otherwise, I'm going to just sit down and listen to what the concerns are and address those. That seem fair?
I'm going to ask the commissioners if they agree to that. Did any of you have a question of Mr. Myers? Any questions yet?
Thank you.
Is there anyone here? I know there is. It's your turn to come forward, please. Give us your name and address. You got 3 minutes.
Hello. If I am proper, I'm sorry. I've never been here before. So my name is Kevin Hoyle, Hoyle. My address is 16725 West Maple, Goddard, Kansas, 67052. I am the landowner that is directly to the south of the limited commercial that's being asked for. I own roughly 14 acres. On that 14 acres, I actually have 4 properties. I'm asking that this not be approved, and I have some reasons for it.
Okay.
First off, my family's lived here since the 70s. We've lived here, as I recall, since Maple was a dirt road. So we've seen a lot of changes in the time we've been there. I live directly across the street to the south, and to me, a commercial property means something such as, well, any kind of commercial property. The one thing that my largest concern is like a convenience store, a Quick Trip, or something such as that, which means there's going to be a ton of lights out there so that they can have their gas pumps or whatever they're going to have. They're going to have their lights up there. My living room and my bedroom windows face directly north, which means when they have those blazing lights on at nighttime, my rooms are going to be illuminated at nighttime, which is an imposition to myself. Also, I have a daughter that lives with me on the property. She's has mental and physical ailments, and we have to take care of her 24/7. Something such as the increased traffic that's going to happen whenever something like this were to happen could cause her to have all kinds of issues. If at some time you'd like to go into those issues of what they might be, I'd be happy to present those to you. I don't understand the purpose of having a light commercial at this property, whenever, down to my understanding, at 167th and Kellogg is already zoned for light commercial. And if they would like to have a convenience store down there, that would make a whole lot more sense than putting it right here in a residential area that's going to detract from being a rural residential area. If you'd like the other addresses that I own at those properties, I'd be happy to provide that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of the speaker? Thank you, sir.
Is your only opposition that it might be a quick trip, or are you just opposed to any LC development?
I think I'd be opposed to any kind of LC development there.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Oh, wait,
Appreciate it.
that's
Quick question, is light the primary problem that you see, or would sound and traffic are the
Yes,
others?
the light is the number one. Number 2 and 3 is all of the sound. The other thing that comes to mind for me is the fact of that it could be just like a Sonic or any other convenience store where kids that have a house close by, or even a car, it could be a meeting place. If they have a meeting place, which you see it on your drive-by places, and you see them hanging out, this also increases the number of people that are around my place and also could lead to more crime.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I thank you, sir.
I think I have a question.
Oh, Mr. Green.
Yeah, noting that this is the intersection of two arterial streets, which is a typical and kind of a normal location for LC zoning, where, other than Kellogg and 167th, is there any place along here that makes sense to have LC zoning? Or
I'd go the next mile north of me, or
a mile away?
yeah, I mean, if you go down go down Maple down to like 183rd Street, there's a lot of residentials in that area, so I don't think that would be proper either. You know, by living in the area for as many years as I have, it would seem like to me that going down to like Central, which is, I think, 4th Street, actually, right there at 167th, that's the same kind of area, but there is literally no residential in that area. So the only two places I would suggest is down one direction or the other, a mile either way.
Any other questions of the speaker? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Anybody else here in the chamber want to speak on this item? Anybody else here in the chamber? Anybody virtual want to speak on this item? Anybody virtual? If not,
Phil Meyer with Boffman Company. I'll try to be brief on this. I understand Mr. Hoyle's comments and concerns. That kind of goes with growth and development as the city moves west. As you saw earlier, this property is part of the Pike 3rd Edition. And I think in Bill's slides, he showed you the residential development that went around that with the commercial on the corner here. I would, a little surprised the comp plan still shows this as residential and not commercial, which I think will change with time. But a quarter mile to the west of this is the new bypass, and KDOT has been buying right away to put that new bypass in, so that will go from Kellogg and wrap all the way around and tie into 96 up there. Use your imagination on this one, but 167th is not just an arterial. In my opinion, it's a major arterial. It's going to be like West Street, going to be like Maze Road. It's the one road that goes north all the way to 96 and will carry a lot of traffic. You look back 30 years ago, a Maze Road looked similar to this. So you give this 30, 40 years as residential development comes out and starts developing. 167th is one of the major arterials that will develop. The 2.4 acres is a reasonable request. When you look at this location, you're going to see applications in the future for 10 to 20 acres on these intersections. This is just a small little 1 or 2 pad sites that sit on the corner. We're trying to get ahead of the development, our future opposition as we build houses in Pike Second, Pike Third. There's 160 acres and 80, and all that will develop residentially.
Bill, your 2 minutes is up.
2 minutes are up.
What do you need?
I'll be less than 2, but why don't you give me 2?
Okay. I'll give you 2 minutes.
We dealt with the access controls on this, 1 access opening to Maple, 1 access opening to 167th during the plating process. We showed that proposed as LC as we went through the plating process. I know that doesn't mean it's zoned yet, but we showed that. We've dealt with access, dealt with setbacks on that. Again, this is a 2.4 acres is a very reasonable request at this location. A lot of the commercial at Kellogg that he mentioned, 70% of it got replatted into duplexes, so there is still 7, 8 acres, but not the 40 that was there before. With that, I'll just stop and answer any questions that planning commissioners may have.
Any questions, the agent? Any questions, the agent? Ms. Fox?
Do you already have a tenant, a potential tenant identified?
No, we don't. That's why I was saying we were being ahead of this and zoning it before we start selling lots so that future homeowners know it's there. I personally don't think you're going to see anything on this for 5 to 10 years. There's not enough rooftops to justify commercial yet. You are close to Goddard, Eisenhower, but my experience is these commercial sites don't develop until there's enough rooftops to justify it. Rooftops are coming from 2 directions. Wichita is going west to 167th. Goddard's developing east towards 167th, and the rooftops are coming with time. But again, that freeway going through there is going to change where residential is appropriate versus non-residential uses.
Any other questions? Agent? Seeing none, thank you.
I'm not sure she's done.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm just.
thank you.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to the commission. What's the pleasure of the board? I guess back in the day, every one of these corners automatically had 6 acres of commercial on all 4 corners. Apparently, this one didn't have that. Anybody have any reason why?
Well, looking at the county rezoning of these arterial intersections back in 1956, this was beyond that. So, yeah, you're right in regards to these 4 corners of arterials being rezoned commercial on county updating of these arterials, but this particular arterial was outside of that county rezoning of those arterials.
Now, was it one time was Maple 54 Highway?
The old Cannonball,
54, yeah.
the old Cannonball Highway.
But one time it was a highway.
Where will the new bypass bisect 167th?
I'll let Mr. Myers answer that.
I'm sorry, that's how far north of this?
It'll be west.
It's going to come in west.
Oh, you can
Quarter-
see it, you can see it here,
It's
actually.
west.
And I apologize, I did not mention that. The staff reporter pointed out on this map, but you can see where the proposed bypass is going to be.
Okay. But there's no exit onto Maple. Is that correct?
If it's a bypass, there'd be perhaps there'd be an interchange, but right now, according to this, it's not showing.
Kellogg and Central
But this is
only.
very preliminary.
Correct. They're still buying land.
Where's the school? Is there not a school? Right.
Eisenhower High School is located about a quarter mile south on 167th. That's in the Goddard School District. This is all in the Goddard School District.
That's to the school.
All by itself, I would think that.
No, It's getting covered up.
That the rooftops are coming.
Yeah. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I move that we approve the request for TF3 and limited commercial.
Second?
You second it?
Mr. Warren.
Motion was made by Mr. Green, second by Mr. Warren. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Passes 12-0. Is there any other business to come before us? Go ahead, Mr.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just have a question on attendance. I'm just wondering, Mr. Josh Blick, are you in attendance?
Yes, that's sure. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. I'll follow up with you after the meeting. Thank you.
Anything else? Nothing else, we're adjourned.